Hello everyone, Eric the Racket Scientist here. Before I get started, just want to say a few words. If you've seen a few of these videos by now, you're probably wondering when I'm going to get around to do a real racket review or different types of content. And I assure you that that is well on the way, and I am planning to make that sort of content like racket reviews or talking about other things in the near future. I have most of the resources I need to perform or like film those videos kind of lined up, but I'm still waiting on some other things like there's a microphone that I need, a wireless microphone that I need in order to start filming racket reviews, so that's going to be something that I'm waiting on. But until then, these are mostly going to be the types of videos that I'm going to put out. So today we have another one. So as you can see, I have something pretty unique and interesting today, and so this is one of the Victor rackets from the Care Bear collection, which is a collaboration with Victor, and you might know that Victor has done a lot of interesting collaborations in the past, including but not limited to Snoopy and Friends and Marvel movies even. There was a One Piece collab at some point. And yeah, in general, they get a lot of fun stuff coming through. And so today we have this Care Bear racket, which is a racket that my fiance purchased at Yumo in Vancouver, like the other two aeronaut rackets that I had in the last video. And she asked me to grip this racket for her, so here I am doing a video on it. So I started with the racket sleeve bag because obviously it is unique, being part of the collab. My understanding is that there are a couple rackets in this collaboration, and obviously this is one of them, and some of them are a little lower on the budget, and this is one of the nicer ones. There's a blue one, but the racket sleeve is more plain, and it's I think a bit of a lower tier racket. Not that this is a top tier racket either. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we can see here. And I had this strung by my preferred stringer already. So this has BG66 Ultimax at 26 pounds, which is my preferred tension, but my fiance is working on moving up in tension as her technique improves, so she wanted to try that out. Now, I know that this is actually a JetSpeed model. Okay. Now, if you know Victor, you'll know that JetSpeed is their prior generation Speed Series rackets. And you'll probably recognize models such as the JetSpeed 10 and JetSpeed 12 back in the day. I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, were extremely popular. And more recently, JetSpeed S10 or S12, which some of them might even have two models. But for the most part, the modern speed rackets are going to be the Aura Speed rackets. And in fact, there is a Care Bear racket that is an Aura Speed model, and that was the blue one that I spoke of earlier. But this one is a JetSpeed, which I find is really interesting because this racket came out when most JetSpeed models are kind of, I won't say obsolete, but kind of on their way out. right? It doesn't make too much sense to me for Victor to have multiple speed racket lineups, as it could be cannibalizing their sales. But it is what it is, and if they say it's a JetSpeed, we're going to believe that it's a JetSpeed. So, starting with just the appearance here, one of the cool things about the collaborations is all the attention to detail. Now, I didn't really talk about this too much in my other videos, but here I left the, well, we already saw the racket sleeve, and we can take another look at that real quick. And by the way, I don't actually know anything about Care Bear, so I don't know who these characters are, but you can see that this racket sleeve has a very nice design, very nice graphic. And actually, if I flip this over, you can see that there's other colors and the two more characters here on the other side. So there's four Care Bear characters on this racket sleeve, and kind of a slightly different color on one side. So there's a lot of effort that was put into that. And we can see that the label here, the sort of the cardboard thing that comes with the stock racket is quite nice too. So here, let's take a look. You'll be able to tell this obviously from the camera that it's pearlescent, and so it's very reflective. Might be a little hard to read, and I'll bring it a little closer for you to see. Reflective. And nice touch. You'll notice that even in the back side, just the normal texture of this, the normal, I guess this would be a coating, since the back doesn't have any design, but it's also got the same pearlescent demeanor to it. So we'll take that off, set that aside. And it's nice that they put these details on these collaboration rackets, but it always makes me feel bad to actually throw those things away, even though it's just a piece of paper or cardboard. So that part is a little sad, but we also have two grips here, and I think, like with all collabs, there are several other items in the collaboration. So these two grips are some of them, and you can tell that they match the color scheme of the racket and the sleeve that I had earlier. My understanding is that there's also a bag and likely some other products as well. I'm almost certain that there are some shirts as well as perhaps a towel, some other products. So what I'm going to do today is, we're going to take off the undergrip, clean it off, and we're going to put on this purple grip as requested. And we're going to see how that goes. Now immediately I noticed that this is a free core handle, so I expect this process to be relatively straightforward and painless. And so we can go ahead and get started. Well, let's take a look at the paint on this racket first, the design. So if we can get the camera to focus, so we got some rainbows, we got two Care Bears there, got some Care Bears there. Let's go ahead and rotate so you can see this one design here, this one graphic. Got a long rainbow that runs up and down the shaft. We got the other two characters up here, the blue and the pink bear. So I guess based on this, I can conclude that there are 4 bear characters. I don't know. We can see from this information here that this claims the shaft is going to be medium flexible. That makes sense. This is a racket intended for a female demographic, partly because it's cute and pink, and whether or not you think that is sexist is up to you. It is well within the rights of men to purchase and use this racket, especially if your masculinity is not fragile and if you appreciate cute things, although it might be on the flexible side. We can see on the frame here, we've also got several designs, some balloons, stars, characters again. On the top we have rainbows. That's cute. Pink bear. More bears. The Victor logo is a rainbow. And on this side, instead of the Victor logo, you got Care Bears Victor. Isn't that nice? Lots of rainbows. We have a lot of pride in our identity, regardless of what sexuality we may have. And that's what this represents. And we'll leave it at that. So I hope I don't sound too different on the microphone today. I finally figured out that I actually have more room to maneuver if I stand and film these videos. In previous videos, I've actually been sitting on a stool the entire time. But this time I decided if I stand up, I might be able to have more room and get closer to the camera. Okay, that's interesting. So there does seem to be a lot of adhesive tape here. A lot more than I would expect for a free core handle. But it is what it is, and we're just going to deal with that. In terms of other collaboration rackets, this would be kind of comparable to the Sanrio Hello Kitty collab that happened also quite recently. I mean, in terms of being cute and pink and female targeted for those of us who are affirming in gender roles of the interests of these collaborations. Now, just taking a look at the handle here, we've got some adhesive tape you might be able to see, and some of it I'm going to be able to get off by hand, but it's hard to see on camera, but a lot of this I think will be quite annoying. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to peel some of it off by hand, but I think I'm going to have to end up hitting this with the Goo Gone. And that's mostly fine by me because since it's a free core handle, it's not actually going to absorb any of that Goo Gone, unlike a wood handle would. And as a result, it shouldn't smell up the room when that happens. And it looks like I can get some of this off, but who knows? We might be here all day if I try to peel this all off by hand. It's kind of gross. Okay, let's see what else I can get. And luckily my fingernails are pretty long right now. Some people ask me why on free core handles, like plastic handles, why I still put the electrical tape on. I'm gonna sit down because I'm getting a little tired. Happens when you get old, your back gets tired. So I've had people ask me why I put electrical tape on my free core handles, because one of the main reasons why I do that is to protect the wood from getting gross stuff on it. And well, for free core handles, there's not really anything to protect, right? Because it's just plastic. That's a good question. And I have a couple of reasons for doing that. One reason is because of, actually, it mostly comes down to habit and consistency, right? Now, even though most G5 grips are going to be the same size, if I were to not put the electrical tape on a free core handle that is G5 size, and I were to instead make the diameter of the handle bigger with just cushion wrap, I would be able to tell the difference. Now, don't get me wrong, a free core handle is always going to feel different than a wooden handle in the hand, but in terms of the diameter and plushness feeling of the handle, it will feel closer to what I'm doing with the wooden handles if I have that layer of electrical tape than if I didn't have it. Okay, so that's one reason. Is it a big deal? Not really. I'm not saying that you have to do that. In fact, I would totally understand why many of you might not choose to, because it's a bunch of extra steps and a lot of extra work. But for me, it's I tend to be very sensitive with my grip shape and sizes, and so if I can get it to be closer to the same size as a G5 grip that's a wooden handle, then I will do that. And the second reason is that even being plastic, there can be like edges or undulations in the plastic. For example, you can tell that these free core handles are made by casting two halves and then sealing them together. So if we look really closely, if I tilt this right, let me see if I can get it to show up. Yes, so you can see it there is the seam between the two halves of the handle. They probably cast both sides together, glue or melt them together, can create some rough spots. And so what the electrical tape does is it acts as a little bit of an intermediary to smooth everything out. And you might ask, does the cushion wrap do that too? Yes, it does to some extent. But the cushion wrap is so soft that you will still be able to feel ridges and bumps underneath, whereas the electrical tape will do a little bit of a better job at smoothing those out. So those are my reasons. And again, it's not necessarily, even after having spoken my piece, not going to be particularly convincing to a lot of you, and that's fine. It's just everyone has their weird habits, and don't necessarily need to figure out how to justify that, since we've all got our own ways of doing things. All right, folks, so I think in terms of what I could get with my fingernails, just peeling it, I think we're about what we could get. And I think I'm going to do the rest with Goo Gone, and that's probably going to be a little easier. So let's go ahead and pick up 2 gloves here. Someone asked me if I picked these gloves for any particular reason. Are they good or bad, or not really. It's not like I'm super picky about disposable gloves. They just happen to fit well and have a nice texture. And not that expensive. I always just keep these around my house for grip maintenance, and if I never need to do anything dirty around the house or work on my cars or whatever. So it's just nice to have. So actually first, I'm going to go ahead and grab our rag here, which I still have from last time. You can see this one is pretty gross, but got our Goo Gone here. And if you're using a lot of this, you're probably going to get lazy, and you're going to just leave it open somewhere. If you have a clean working area like this, that will probably work out fine for you. But just know that this is a narrow bottle, and I've knocked one over before, and that shit smells, and the smell does not go away that easily. So I'm just warning you, if you want to be lazy, that is something that can happen to you, and it is not fun to clean up. Okay, and the nice part about cleaning this stuff off of the free core handle is that it rubs off much more cleanly than the wood handle does. And haha, yeah, for those of you listening, paying attention, yes, I'm talking about rubbing it off. Okay, everyone's just got different ways they like to rub off, alright? So don't fucking judge a man. Everyone's got to get their goo off somehow. Alright. Yeah, sometimes it can take some time to soak in, like you generally want it to kind of soak in the adhesive that's remaining, so it can be good to like kind of just coat the whole handle in a little bit of the Goo Gone first, and then wait, and then start scrubbing later. It can also just take a while. Oh man. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know if it's because it's JetSpeed, but you know, this is kind of a little bit of the older undergrip style where they have much more of the double-sided adhesive, because like the newer Victor free core rackets. They come off so cleanly. So like if you remember the video with the Thruster Ultra, that was a super clean handle. There's like barely anything to do on that one. Which, by the way, I went, to play badminton again for the first time in a while during the holidays, and it was really fun. And as you can tell from my channel, I had a lot of new rackets to test out. So I think what we're gonna do is that in addition to these ASMR videos, I might start off with a kind of like a first impressions video of the rackets that I played with. So like, I think a really popular one that people are looking for is the NanoFlare 700 Pro. And then later down the road, we're going to do a full review on that one. Oh yeah, that's the other reason why I haven't been started doing my reviews yet, is that I might have mentioned in some previous videos that I broke my pinky, my right pinky, this finger, in September of 2024, last year. And yeah, it took all these months to heal. When I say broke, I really mean like the bone snapped in half. So it took a while to even set back in place. And then after it's set back in place, the bone has to, in a nutshell, it has to solidify its connection back to the original bone. And right now I'm at the point where I can do like a lot of basic tasks with my finger again. Like I can hold and I can grab things lightly. I'm not back up to the grip strength, significant grip strength that I had before, and that's probably gonna take maybe another month. But like I can play badminton, I just can't play very intensely in ways where I have to squeeze the grip. So like, as you know, may or may not know, especially during like drives and stuff, you kind of want to be squeezing the bottom two fingers. Drives and like overhead shots, especially if you're more advanced, you're going to be generating a lot of that power by squeezing your fingers. Whoops. And the broken finger meant I was not able to play by squeezing those fingers, which made it very difficult for me to handle the racket. But right now I'm at the point where I can handle it kind of mostly normally. I just can't squeeze hard. I can hold on to the racket and I can squeeze a bit, and it's enough to do like relaxed hitting, you know? Like if you've ever seen singles players warm up and do clears, it's very relaxed, and they use their arm and shoulder, and it's very leisurely, and so I can do that. And going back to the topic, and the reason why I haven't done my NanoFlare 700 Pro review yet, aside from not having the microphone, is since my finger's not fully in a place where I can play like a real match. I can play like a casual match with beginners or intermediate players, but like definitely cannot play with players of my own level yet, like a real match. I don't think that I'd be able to evaluate the racket correctly without being able to do that, and that's why I haven't made any progress towards that front. But that's part of the reason why I can do these videos, because this doesn't really require any special use of my pinky, and so I'm just chilling, and I'm kind of maintaining these rackets and collecting them and whatever. So once I get to a point where I feel like I can be doing playing close to normal, and that's when I will do my reviews. Because these videos where I might feel okay with not putting a lot of effort into them, and I don't think I've never really hidden the fact that these are very low effort videos, right? Like I don't really edit them. I just kind of film myself messing around with these rackets, talk about it a little bit, or whatever. So I don't really mind. It's just very much, it's in the name. It's like ASMR, right? You put it on in the background, just hear me talk about rackets and do stuff. So as little effort as I put into these, though, when it comes to like racket reviews, like I do tend to be, I don't know if the term is high effort, but like I do put a lot of emphasis on bringing good value, right? So like I'm the type of guy who I will never put out a half-assed review, and I will never put out a review if I don't feel 100% confident in my evaluation. And if you're not familiar with my other content, I have been doing reviews. It's just not on YouTube, okay? I've been writing blog articles, like Medium articles, which is in the description, by the way. If you're interested, I have my Medium account in the description where you can go and you can read my articles, and on my Instagram as well. I have short reviews there. But when it comes to my Medium articles, I don't really like to make those compromises. I make sure that, one, I have an extremely thorough understanding of the racket that I'm trying to review. Because, you go onto YouTube and then you look at these racket reviews and you hear someone say like, oh, I didn't really quite get it. Like I didn't quite get this racket. I couldn't quite time it correctly. And then they use that against the racket, right? They're like, okay, I evaluate this racket slightly poorly because I couldn't get it right or I couldn't time it. And I don't think that's necessarily right. And just to be clear, I'm not really calling out anyone in particular. And people have a right to publish their opinions to YouTube. I'm not saying that that's wrong either. But just for me personally, you'll know that my belief is that racket evaluation is very subjective. Right? Like if you're a fan of, the Astrox 100ZZ, and you go and pick up this Care Bear racket, are you really going to expect it to perform the same way? Are you going to expect to be able to get the same value out of it that you do out of 100ZZ? Well, you shouldn't, right? And that's kind of the point. And that's my point, is that every racket, if you feel like it's something that you don't understand or feel like you're missing something, I generally don't consider that a good point for evaluating a racket. And that could go for anything, right? It's just like food or like cars or like art even, right? like art is surely not objective. They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder or whatever. You can go to any modern or classical art museum and I'm sure you can find a painting that you think is kind of ugly or pointless. But you go into those things and you know that someone out there in the world, including probably the person who made it, thinks that it's, oh, genius, and there is a meaning in it, right? And that's kind of the point here, is that with badminton rackets, it can be very subjective as to like what people like and don't like and how people use it. And the thing is, at least in the English-speaking world, no one's really talking about that, right? Like everyone in the reviews is like, oh yeah, this racket is good at generating power, 7 out of 10. This racket vibrates too much. But don't get me wrong, vibrating is bad, but like, you know, any racket will vibrate if you hit it in an odd rhythm, right? Or hit it off sweet spot. And so it's just a matter of like, does the style and the features match what you're going for in your racket or in your play style? And if not, and if it's something that you can't figure out, then why are you spending your effort trying to evaluate something that you cannot correctly evaluate? Does that make sense? And that's kind of my philosophy here. And the reason why I have so many rackets is because, you know, it's about expanding your horizons, right? It's like, if I only ever play with relatively stiff head-heavy rackets, then that's all I'm going to be able to evaluate, right? And so if, oh, that's a funny noise here. Listen to this. So if someone comes and asks me to evaluate a NanoFlare 700, even though I only use head-heavy stiff rackets, well, of course I'm not going to be able to give a good evaluation of that, right? And I think that just makes sense. And, you know, and that's not to say you're not allowed to have preferences. Like, everyone's got preferences, even me. But the difference is, after having played with so many rackets and experimented, right? And that's the key there, is that every racket that I get, I play around with it. And I don't mean just hitting around in the court. I mean experimenting with different ways to use the racket. Like, you know, do I smash more with my shoulder, my body, my wrist, stuff like that, until I figure out the optimal way to use that racket. And that, my friends, is my philosophy. Okay, so that took a little bit of time, but we got all the residue off, and so we can finish cleaning this grip, and we'll be able to move on to the next stage soon. Okay. Yeah, sometimes rackets like this can make me a little salty, because it's like when you see a free core handle, or when I see free core handle, I almost think to myself, this is going to be easy and free, right? Like, cleaning this off is just going to take no time. It's going to be super clean. It's going to be no issues. And then you actually undo it, and there's like all this gross stuff underneath, and just kind of makes me a little sad because, you know, I was hoping for something easy, but I didn't get it. Okay, I'm actually going to take my gloves off because I'm done with the Goo Gone stuff. Put that on the side. That towel is gross, gotta clean it at some point. We're gonna sit down again, because again, oh God, I'm getting old. Yeah. It's a good way to treat yourself for the holidays, buying rackets and I think one thing I'm kind of not a fan of the free core rackets is that the end caps they use, because they're not smooth, they've got these ridges. You can see that sometimes the adhesive gets stuck inside those, so that's kind of what I'm doing now, and I'm sorry if that's off camera because I need to kind of get like I have to look very closely at them to figure out how to get this shit out. But in general, we're almost done here, so thank you for bearing with me. Okay, I think I got like all of it. I think. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll just call it good. Okay. So I believe this is a G6 grip. Because again, it's meant to be a model for women, for girls. Yes, gender roles. Okay. We're gonna cancel Victor for that. Sexist pieces of shit. Okay, and you might remember that I told you for my personal rackets for the G6 grips, I do the full overlap because I have large manly hands, but my fiance has tiny female hands, so I'm actually going to go back to my normal slight overlapping electrical tape method to get like a thinner layer. And yeah, so we're gonna do that. Oh yeah. You know, playing with kind of lighter, more flexible rackets like this can be a good litmus test for whether, for a male player, can be a good litmus test to like whether you actually understand racket mechanics. Because a lot of male players who are going to try to play with a racket like this are going to completely mistime everything, and they're going to be like, oh, this feels like shit. It's so loose and wiggly and light, and there's no stiffness. I can't snap it. That's not true, right? The thing about rackets is that they're all designed to handle, flex, transfer power in some sort of way And the fact that you only know how to do that with stiff, heavy rackets is because your Neanderthal brain is only geared and trained to do that with stiff rackets and not with more delicate rackets, right? Which means that if you don't know how to adjust your timing to a racket that goes and flexes more slowly, or how to transfer your power properly, and you're relying basically on a stiff racket's shaft to provide you with all that power. And if we want to talk about who's being manly, the one who relies on someone else's shaft, definitely a little beta if you ask me, right? A real man generates his own power, doesn't rely on the racket for that. So next time you pick up one of these and you're like, isn't it stiff? It can swing as fast as 100 Z or 1000 Z. Yeah, maybe go learn how to play badminton first. And yes, for a second I did forget that this was a video for a Care Bear racket for my fiance's racket. So, Jay, if you're watching this, honey, I love you. And I'm not trying to turn your video into like a salt, like a salt mine. In case I get like comments raging at me, like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy doesn't know anything about rackets. I mean, do any of us really? Right? Like, if no one knows anything about rackets, who are you going to trust? The guy who whines and says that I need 100 cc for everything? Or the guy who owns like 50 rackets and knows how to use every single one of them? Right? Like, at the end of the day. Alright, here's some more ASMR for you. I'm opening the package, so just... You know what that sound is? That's the lovely sound of cardboard peeling off plastic and leaving the that behind. It's, you know, why does this just never happen beautifully? I don't really know. Yeah, anyways. Alright, Care Bear time. Hell yeah, brother. Okay, let's take a look at this grip first. So first interesting thing that I notice here is, so most grips, including the Yonex Super Grab, I guess this is upside down, have plastic on the top, and that's the case here. This one has plastic on the bottom too, so there's actually 2 layers of plastic, one at the top and one at the bottom. Isn't that interesting? Here, take a listen to this plastic. Just, yeah, you like that shit, don't you? All right, now take a look. Care Bears, Victor. Care Bear, focus. Thank you. And hearts. Because that's cute, and we love cute things, and that's great. Now here's the problem. Just talk to you for a second, okay? Here's the problem. Well, there's 2 problems. The one problem is that the way that I grip with the full overlap, half of the pattern is going to be hidden. And, you know, them's just the breaks, okay? The other problem is that if I do my normal reverse grip, Care Bear is going to be upside down. Now, my question is she okay with that? I'm gonna have you wait here for 1 second. I'm gonna go look at her other rackets and see what she's okay with. All right, I'm back and looking at one of her other rackets, and this is not super helpful to me because, well, it is a little bit. She likes the pattern grips, and you'll notice that this is a cat paw because this is a special Gosen cat paw grip. And you'll notice that this has the top sealed is flat. And the reason for that is not because I did it reverse, but because these cat paw grips by Gosen are bidirectional, as in both ends are tapered, both the top and bottom. But she likes having the cone like that, so I'm just gonna go with my standard grip method, and yeah, we're just gonna figure that out from there. So ASMR time. Hear that? That's the sound of me pulling the plastic off of the grip. Alright, that's enough of that. Oopsies. Lovely grip. It's a shame it's not going to appear the way it was intended. And she also doesn't like it when I overrun the grip on the outside, and this is one racket where I actually am going to tear off this. I know so everyone I know complains that I do this, that I leave that there. Some guy even commented on one of my videos about it. He's like, why don't you tear that off? I was like, because I'm lazy, helps me identify my rackets. Wow, that's pretty tacky. Okay, and like in my other videos, we're gonna go grip it up first, and we're gonna see how much track we have remaining, and then we're going to kind of go from there and see if we have enough length to maintain that grip method. You can kind of see it. I mean, obviously it's upside down, but you know, could be worse, I guess. Could be worse. You can kind of see the face peeking out. Oh, that's a surprise. Okay. I guess this grip is really short because we're already at the cone, so we're actually going to have to go back, and this actually works in our favor because the bigger gaps I leave between layers, the more of the Care Bear pattern you're going to be able to see. So let's do that, and let's see where that gets us. Sorry if I'm drifting off camera a little bit. Here, you see that now? Good, 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 good. Okay, I think we're getting pretty close to gripping this properly. Oh, no, I'm still a little short. See, my goal is to get it here at the cone. All right, we're gonna do one more time. We're gonna go even more aggressive with this spiral. We're going all out, baby. Oh yeah. And I think if you're leaving overlap gaps this large, you are going to feel it. Sometimes you can leave gaps usually of up to, like on this racket, you've got gaps of maybe 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters. You aren't really going to notice that, but then when you have overlap gaps of, you can see this is like 3 or 4 millimeters, you start to feel it a little bit, but generally it's not too terrible at that point. Like, okay, I think this is the one. Sorry, we're taking this off camera because I gotta focus. Oh, yes, beautiful. Perfecto. Oopsies. Okay. And you know what the best part is? You can actually read the text. Care Bears, even though it's upside down. But we're just going to ignore that for now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do a review on this racket necessarily, but if, because I have so many other rackets to review, but if, yeah, if any of you were curious about what this is, what this racket looks like, some of the details, hopefully this video is helpful. And yeah, if you really want to know what this is like, maybe I'll do an Instagram post and we'll see. So thanks for watching and see you next time.